In anticipation, I wait, I yearn to see, to feel the sensation of your aura taking me. The fireflies spark the incandescent glow, brighten the dark, both our souls now know. Fascinated, entranced, your aura speaks to me, by deity enhanced. Love will forever be.
The submerged rocks and those visible to sea-going vessels provided one of the most important protections for Estolia in the ancient world. The island itself looks unimpressive from a distance and unapproachable. The northern channel has a vortex that, according to modern measurements, can drag a small rowboat more than 300 feet beneath the surface of the sea and hold it there indefinitely by the different tidal forces of the maelstrom. The southern channel is even less credible as an access to the inner bays. It is clearly impassable and impossible. Those two channels are obvious deterrents. The middle channel, with fewer impediments, is the true protection against the most determined of assaults. It looks impassable, but to the wary crew, it is entirely navigable. Once this is known, invaders sail the passageway easily, finding with relief the beautiful passageway into Graveyard Bay. The final protection for Estolia is the calm, welcoming waters, hiding innumerable sunken rocks. Forward, biography of Tevilak Niermax.
Zeke stepped out of the shower. His outfit was laid out on the bed. He smiled at Kay Darin. He was tempted to push the outfit to the floor and forget his obligations. He kissed her, feeling the unique sensation of his soul rejoicing in their physical contact. On this day he would learn what it was like to keep the soul of Estolia, the position of ultimate authority in all Estolia, superseding the king himself, if necessary. In practice, he and his brother would share the burden of running the nation, working together, each within their own zone of influence. Kay Darin smiled at him, caressing the smooth contours of his face.
The sacrifices I must make for the position I have,
he said regretfully. He pulled Kay Darin close, amazed, as he had been daily at the extraordinary experience of meeting and winning her over the course of one extremely harrowing month of his life. He closed his eyes and soaked up the ambience of her personality and presence. He kissed her one more time before turning back to the mirror. Yesterday the spirit ratified their marriage, an experience Zeke had always considered a mere formality, a simple declaration. As he stood with Kay Darin in the ceremony room, he learned that there was more to it. In Capitulo 37, one puzzling entry finally made sense, where the last resort knew, with the surety of destiny and duty, that the spirit would not ratify the union of the man who would be sovereign. He understood that, were the sun to rise on Estolia on the seventh day after his brother's supposed consummation, the promise of Zacharias would be broken and Estolia would fall. The events that followed that monumental realization were one of the critical lessons taught within the temple, and stressed heavily in the instruction of the future king and last resort. Alexandros had begged his brother to abdicate, to give up the crown, and enable him to avoid the duty that came with being the last resort. The ratification of marriage in Estolia was no mere formality. Zeke would discuss the experience with his uncle later in the day. He now understood that there was a power that only the keeper could ever wield. He smiled at Kay Darin through the mirror. The source of his power was the woman smiling back at him. She was everything to him. Without her, he would be powerless. He indulged in one more embrace before he moved over to the complete outfit he would wear for the first time. Historical accounts indicated that it was much different from the original worn by Zacharias' second son, Amador. In the beginning, purple was in scarce supply, and the robes were a basic brown with an embroidered edging in purple and gold. Now, they were a rich purple and green with gold embroidery. He pulled on the undergarments, pausing briefly to look with longing at Kay Darin. Then he reminded himself that they would have the rest of their lives to enjoy one another. He closed his eyes and recited the 12 postulates of inner peace compiled by Kay Darrow. In Capitulo 80, Kay Darrow explained their purpose. He had discovered that thoughts about his lovely new bride, Fleur, were apt to bring a physiological reaction, causing him embarrassment and discomfort. To counteract this, he combed through the capitolos and ensayos and found what he considered to be 12 profound postulates, axioms or maxims that were in no way erotic or stimulating. He compiled and titled them the 12 Postulates of Inner Peace. Zeke found, however, that they provided only minimal relief. Turning his attention away, he looked at the next item of apparel, simple white inner trousers. He pulled them on, and then picked up the undershirt. It was also white, with a black diagonal band from his right shoulder to left hip. Over his heart was a stylized representation of the dagger of office of last resort, in elaborate red embroidery. The first office held by the keeper, that of the last resort, was one of the most critical. The last resort was all that stood between the potential betrayal of the heir apparent and utter ruin for all Estolia. It was critical that the keeper remember his role throughout his tenure, and that he teach his successor appropriately. He paused yet again, wanting to look at K. Darin, but he would be uncomfortable if he gave in to his desire. Instead, he pulled on the inner robe. It was a rich black color and obscured his white undergarments. He picked up the outer robe and caressed the fabric. It would hang to his ankles and wrap around his front, tied with a braided gold and purple cord. The most ornate parts of the robe, after the thick tapestry embroidery, were the fanciful sleeves with teardrop-shaped openings. When he put his hands together they formed a V pattern falling all the way to the hem. Last, he donned a slender crown. Within the temple, he would take the crown off like a too-tight hat that was uncomfortable and impractical to wear. His position was one that was recognized by the robes he wore, and the undeniable presence and stamp of the soul of Estolia, giving him the ultimate authority over all things in the nation. His crown was mostly ceremonial. His brother would not have that same freedom. He would wear his crown daily, just as Zeke's role demanded he wear the robes of office. To each their own burdens, he mused. Once the final event in the transition took place, the 7-day blessing for his and K. Darin's firstborn son, he would settle both the crown and the sash of office of last resort on the green marble statue of Zacharias in his office, an irony, since Zacharias wore neither during his time as their founder. He closed his eyes and mentally thanked the man who founded the nation for his belief in the promises of deity. K. Darin would also be an integral part of the upcoming ceremony. Yesterday, after the spirit ratified their marriage, his Uncle Theo and Aunt Georgiana returned to the seclusion suite with them. That was when he learned why it was so critical that he marry, and why he could not be the keeper if he never married.
The fireflies spark the incandescent glow. Bright in the dark, both our souls now know. Fascinated, entranced, your aura speaks to me by deity enhanced. Love will forever